Hello, this is Steve with your weekly YouTube video for Cambridge English. Today we are doing a B2 speaking exam. I am going to show you some sample answers from my students in class this week. They are good. They will pass their B2 exam next month. And what we did a complete original B2 exam and we recorded them answering it and then listened back and said what was good, thinking about the criteria that you want in the exam, what could you improve, thinking about the technique and the format of the exam. So watch this video if you want to see a complete speaking exam from real people who are good but not perfect. They're B2 students. Let's get into it. We start with part one, some general intro questions that I have written that I think are supposed to be engaging, that, B2 students, teenagers, people can answer. And it went a bit like this. Question one, what's your favorite place in your house and why?
Well, I think my favorite place in my house is my bedroom because I can be alone, I can be in silence because I love silence. And I hate being interrupted by my family, and it's a very calm place.
Okay, good answer to start. 17 seconds, fine for part one. Very clear point. You answered the question, you said why. To be in silence, nice expression. I hate being interrupted. We know we need to pronounce this ed because of the t, but it's a great passive. I hate being interrupted, and then using the ing with hate. Lots of good grammar in a first question, so we're off to a good start to that question. How did you do? How would you answer this question? Can you do something like that? Clearly, fluently answer the question. Let's try another one. This time the question is from my other student, so we'll see how good the audio is, maybe not quite as good. If you could learn a new skill, what would it be?
Well, let me think. It's a difficult question. I think that it will be like I will improve some of my skills if I want to. I don't want to learn a new skill. I will improve maybe drawing because I think that I barely draw now, and I used to draw like every day when I was young, and I did very good, I think. But now I don't draw. I don't draw it, so I don't draw anything. So I think I would have to start drawing again.
Okay, so started out okay, but went on a bit too much. The things in italics as I'm making notes are things that I like. Let me think, great way to start answering a question, to give yourself time to think. Then it's a good point. I don't want a new skill, I want to improve drawing. And at this stage we were at 20 seconds. So I'm thinking, okay, you got 10 seconds left to just give me a reason, since you're going to answer this question with a reason. The reason could be, in 10 seconds, I barely draw now, and I used to draw every day when I was young, and I miss it. Boom, stop, perfect, great. Unfortunately, the student kept going a bit too much and didn't really add any useful information and gave the impression that they were struggling with ideas a little bit. This would have been a better way to finish it. But as we can see, still some nice moments, some nice I barely, I used to, really impressive grammar for B2. Just a little bit waffly, a little bit going on too much instead of stopping with a clear point. For part one, after 20 to 30 seconds, it's fairly short part one, isn't it? So let's finish with part one there. You saw the rest of the questions. If you want to try and answer these yourself, these are all, I would say, friendly original part one questions that you should time yourself when you answer. Make a note of what you're saying, record yourself, listen to yourself. That's the whole point of what we're doing here. It is quite possible to do. Let's move on to part two. Now, in this part of the exam, you're going to be comparing some photos and answering a question about them. Here are the photos. They show different ways of learning. I'd like you to compare them and say what the advantages are of these different ways of learning. And here's how the first student did it. Part two. Here we go. 1 minute.
Well, I think that the photo that shows a classroom learning like always everyone thinks when it refers to learning is in a classroom with a normal teacher, like always. And I think that's the advantage of having like a teacher is that you can ask doubts, you can like understand better the topics, and you can like talk to a person that it's not the same as in the other photo, that it's like playing interactive game and by the computer, that you cannot ask anyone a doubt, but you can, the advantage of that is that you can be like, it's less boring, you are enjoying more like the topic, and you can learn a lot as well.
It's a pretty good answer. Well done. And as we can see, 1 minute, clear points. Maybe if we'd been a bit more prepared at the start, instead of wasting 15-20 seconds trying to say this is a typical classroom, we would have had time to introduce another idea, thinking about other ways of answering this. For example, classmates helping each other is an advantage of learning in a traditional classroom, or technology helping you, searching for answers, is an advantage of learning on the computer. So a bit more preparation at the start, thinking, like preparing yourself, because you can pretty much always say, well, both photos show situations of education, or both photos show young people learning. You're always going to have that because they're on the same topic. Try not just to repeat what it says in the question. Both photos show different ways of learning. Yeah, because I just said that. Try to put it in your own words if possible. But if you can prepare it like that, you got a bit more time to get into the details of the rest of these. That's the first part of part 2. Second part, for the other candidate, which one do you prefer?
Okay, it depends on what I'm learning. If it is something that I need a teacher to see to show me what I did wrong, I think I would prefer to have a teacher. But if it's something that it's quite simple, that I can search on internet and learn about it, I would prefer to work on the internet.
Very clear answer. Only one little mistake, of course. You search for something on the internet, but lots of nice things as well. As I'm saying, the notes I'm making, especially in italics, are the nice point. It depends on what the relative pronoun used correctly. Tell me what I did wrong, great collocation. And even getting the preposition right, that you search for something on the internet. Even if you made a little mistake, you still got the preposition right. And a nice clear answer, relevant, developed. Can't do much better there. If you want to do some more practice for part 2, now this is your turn. Here are some more photos. Now it's your turn, person watching this video. They show people doing voluntary activities. I'd like you to compare the photos and say why they have chosen these ways to help other people. And you might say ideas about helping animals, because we like animals, because animals are soft and cute and fun. Or helping children because you're sporty and you like being outside and you remember playing football when you were young, and this is why they've chosen to help them in these ways. And then, which one would you prefer and why, for the second shorter question for your partner in the exam. But that's enough part 2. Let's move on to part 3. Now in this task, I'm going to describe a scenario, and I'd like you to talk together about some different aspects of that scenario. I'd like you to imagine that it's time to go to university. You're 18 years old and you're choosing a university. And here are some different factors that will influence your decision. Talk together about how important these factors are when choosing a university. And let's listen to this conversation that we had.
Well, I think choosing a university is a very difficult question that can involve the price of the university, because if it's very expensive, you can't afford it, so it can be a big problem. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, of course. The first thing you have to look at is the price. If you can't afford it, you're not going to that university. Like maybe in America, it's very expensive. What else do you think would be important when choosing the university?
Well, I'll also look at the distance from home, because if it's very far away, you have to take the bus or another type of transport, like public transport, and it can be also very expensive for you.
Okay, yes, I get what you mean. Those are important points. But I think really it's talking about if you want to move away from home, from where you grew up with your parents, or if you want to stay near there.
Yes, I see what you mean, but another important aspect of choosing a university is the social life at the university, because social life can help your mental health, and with your mental health you can be a happier person, so it's a quite important aspect of choosing the university.
That's very true. So do you think, for example, that you would rather go to university somewhere close where all your friends are already there?
Well, yes, I'd rather to go to a university where I know there are my friends, because I will have a better social life. But the reputation of the course can be also another important aspect to look at, because if you don't know quite well how is the university, you will not rather choose it. So, do you see what I mean?
Yes, of course. You need to have good teachers and materials, and that's part of the reputation. Let's talk about this quickly, then we'll decide the most important one. But as you can see from my feedback, a couple of little mistakes that I've corrected. The main one is a technique mistake. Don't just say I see what you mean, because how do I know, how do they know when they're testing you in the exam that you really understood it, that you're really participating in the conversation? You can't just say I see what you mean. You need to show me. You need to say, oh, I see what you mean. Yes, I guess some people want to move away from home to be independent, but some people prefer to stay close to their families. Anyway, another important aspect, and then move on. Even if it's just 5-10 seconds to acknowledge what they said, really good practice because it's a conversation task. Similarly, what I like here is this little correction I've offered. Try to have smooth transitions between the topics. So learn your phrases like, and moving on to the reputation of the course, or, and with regards to the reputation, or, but more importantly, the reputation of the course. Don't just say, and price, and distance from home, and job prospects. Try to vary those connections and transitions to show your vocab and to make for a coherent and clear conversation as well. All right, let's do the decision part then.
Well, it's a difficult choice.
It is. So I guess we were focusing on the price being very important. Do we think that's the most important?
Yes, but I think it's more important the distance from home, because not every teenager want to go away for months and don't see their family. So
maybe a combination of the price and the distance from home?
Yes, I agree. So shall we?
I must admit, I think the reputation of the course is also very important, because this is why you go to university, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll stop it there because it sort of died out a little bit, because the student wasn't really adding anything new for this decision part. And it can be difficult because it feels like you've been talking about it for 2 months. What you really want to do is, without repeating what you said before, you can refer to it and you can say, well, as we said, the distance from home could be important because maybe you want to get your washing done by your parents, so you don't want to move 1,000 miles away. And I'm using some different vocab, a slightly different way of looking at it, to emphasize or to clarify what I said before. So without repeating, refer to it, add something new if possible, and try and use that function of making a decision. So we agree this one's the most important, and so on. So the decision part could have been a bit better, although it is a difficult task to do. Right, this leads us on to, firstly, another part 3 for you to practice at home. Obviously in pairs is better, but you can also practice and think about what you would say for this topic of the positive side of social media. And then our part 4, some more detailed questions on the same topic as part 3, in this case, choosing a university. So here we have our first question for part 4.
Well, I'd rather study in an abroad country because I love traveling. I prefer visiting new countries, and I will love, and it will be my dream to study in another country, because I can meet new people. Like, it can be a great opportunity, and it will be a better experience than like staying in your own country.
Really nice answer. Developed, good vocab, range of grammar, it would be my dream. Meet new people, good collocation, a comparative used correctly. I think I did hear the ing here in the end, so that's okay. And it's a nice answer. As I said, keep this in mind. This student will pass her exam next month. I'm very confident, based on her speaking and based on all the other parts of the exam that we work on every week, and you are working on as well in my videos. Let's do one more to finish, one more little question from part 4 to show how she develops these answers and gives reasons and examples, as we should be doing. Slightly difficult one for a B2 question, but what would you say for this, and what makes her answer good?
Well, it's a difficult question, but I think that the life skills you need to succeed at university is to have like good knowledge, like not only for studies, like also for social life, to know how to like be social, don't be angry at the most time of the day, and to get on well with people.
So, a good point, a clear point, talking about life skills, not just academic skills. So again, a good developed answer. Life skills means social skills as well, not just academic skills, as she said. We need to use the negative infinitive here. This part was a little bit unclear. Maybe could have been a little bit more developed of saying why we need social skills, because you've said you'd need social skills, but tell me why. Maybe because at university you have to work with your fellow students more. You're independent of the teacher, so you have to work together. You need these social skills to sort things out for yourself. But anyway, main message to take from this, like I said, is that is how to do the speaking exam. She will pass. She's practiced a lot. Well, both of these girls will pass. They both practiced a lot with me, starting from lower levels and coming up to be confidently passing the B2. You can also do this. You can be practicing these questions yourself, like if you did positive side of social media. Here are some part 4 questions you might have, but keep working on it. Enjoy it. See you next week.